Welcome to the session 7, Distribution as a Strategy. Last week, in the session 6, we dealt with deal making and selling skills. This program is on creating effective and efficient sales systems and teams that win. This is being brought to you by METL Global Perspectives, www.metl.in. Traditional distribution system, channel partners. In this discussion, we will focus on the traditional distribution system. The traditional distribution system comprises the channel partners outside of the company who take the product to the end customers. These are classically the distributors, the wholesalers, and the retailers. The channel employs workforce who are often trained by the company staff. They work on a structured commission margins based on the volumes that they sell. Recently, the e-commerce and the business-to-business wholesalers have disrupted the classical distribution system, but still a lot of sales happens through the channels and the local retailers and the convenience stores. Because the local retailers offer the products which are exactly suited to that particular target segment which is staying there, and they also offer a line of credit. So there is a different way in which the system operates, and the channel works very closely with them to make all of these things happen. Two asks of the distribution system. So large is the distribution system that there are big companies that do not produce anything and just distribute the products and services of others. The distribution system has to cater to two asks. Firstly, the product or the service has to reach the intended audience at the right time. Keep in mind that the timing is very important. Secondly, the possibility of contaminated products or fakes getting into the system has to be addressed. These are two seemingly simple asks, but can create a plethora of strategies that the companies can adopt. Ask 1. Product or service reaching the intended audience at the right time. There are 4 aspects to consider here: customer preferences, market coverage, inventory, and visibility. The company must ensure adequate distribution tie-ups are in place so that these are serviced appropriately even when the demand fluctuates. One has to keep in mind that the demand and the supply are two things which needs to be always kept a watch on. If there is a sudden spike in demand, there is more need for that product at that point of time, and the distribution system should be capable to quickly push in from the inventory. At the same time, if the demand goes down due to some requirement, then the distribution system should be able to pull back the excess stock from the market, take it back to the company for reprocessing or for destruction, whatever be the norms that are there. The distribution system is the buffer between this demand and supply, because supply might take a longish lead time to manufacture something, or maybe if the supply requirement is very huge, there is a new plant which needs to be come in. But the demand keeps on fluctuating. So as you go up and down into the distribution system deeper and deeper and open more outlets, the demand will keep increasing. But would that demand be constant so as to ensure that more supplies should be added? So this is a very important discussion which keeps on happening in an organization. But the important point here is that the distribution should be able to take the product and service and take it to the intended audience. Customer preferences. There are different segments of customers. Even though all may use the same offering, they might shop differently. Some keep a monthly stock of goods, while some keep a lesser stock. Some pay in cash, some use a rotating credit. Some use e-commerce extensively. Yet others purchase from the supermarket, discount stores, or the neighborhood convenience store. In case the product is not available in the racks, it does not get picked up, and maybe a substitute gets picked up instead. Now, wherever the customer is there, a possibility of the sale is there, and therefore the distribution system should be able to ensure that the product is there available on the shelves. Understand the nuances behind this. For example, if there is an ice cream which obviously will sell more in the summer months than in the winter months, when an ice cream is being sold through a distribution outlet, there is a possibility of bacterial contamination in a milk product. So the distribution system has to be strong enough to ensure that the quality of the ice cream will remain consistent and safe for human consumption. So there are complexities in the distribution system, and that needs to be given due consideration. Market coverage. Distribution plays the key role to ensure that the right product is available off the shelf or at the locations where the customer is most likely to buy it. If it's a large country like India with huge income disparity, ensuring that the product is available to all segments of the society is a difficult task. It needs meticulous planning of the supply chain and covering the market with mapped beats to ensure that the product is available. In case the product has a seasonality of consumption to it, like ice creams, festivities driven consumption, it becomes even more difficult to manage the distribution process. The lead times of the distribution process and the lead time of the manufacturing process are very different. Therefore, one has to keep in mind all this when the distribution system is being designed and set out. And the distribution system, while we have talked of distributors and retailers and wholesalers, there is also a whole network of warehouses that the company has to plan and keep the stock that they are producing so that they are consumed as and when the demand increases. Or if there is a huge seasonality of the demand, then the stocks are manufactured beforehand. So, for example, if we take a fruit juice like a mango drink, mangoes come at a particular season, but the mango drink is available throughout the year. So, it's important to have a warehouse and a production system and a distribution system which caters to this whole thing and keeps it safe, free from contamination. Inventory. Companies have a large number of stock keeping units called SKUs. These SKUs are normally a part of a category, and therefore the companies manage the SKUs and they manage the categories in it. For instance, a shampoo can be made available in 10 ml sachets or as 750 ml bottles. Depending on the audience purchase pattern, the right SKU has to be kept at the calculated level of inventory managed. Several retail stores sell the shelf space, and the inventory has to be managed by the company that has purchased the shelf space. All of these things require the distributor salesman down the line to be able to have skills beyond just taking the inventory and supplying. They should be able to put the things on the shelf. They should be able to ensure that the shelf purity remains, as in if they have purchased a certain amount of shelf space, that is stocked by their goods and not by some other brand. So things like these are very important and has to be kept in mind because the inventory ultimately has to reach the customer, and when it reaches them it should be all clean, looking good, something that the customer would like to reach out and take happily. Visibility, merchandising and inducing IDA. While retail is a subject by itself, the way to merchandise and induce the intent to purchase is an important element of it. We are talking of it here because in a distribution system which goes into category A towns, B towns, C towns, D towns, and E towns, the distributor salesman often is responsible for this basic level of merchandising and ensuring that the goods are displayed properly. Products that are displayed at eye level are most likely candidates to be picked up. Also, the packaging has to be made exciting to induce IDA, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. The action that we are talking here is about purchasing, or at least picking it up and examine it with the intent to purchase. As many companies offer competing products, crank out tall claims in advertising, the last mile activity of merchandising needs to be carried out well to induce the purchase. Organizations provide detailed planograms to assess the layout of the products on the shelf. Sales assistants at times are there to demonstrate the product and help the customer make a choice. So, as we talk of distribution, it is not only of moving goods and inventory, the complexity also gets added here so that all the possible customer points and touch points and the moments of truth are trapped. So, it's important to keep this perspective because that is the capability that the distributor salesman down the line has to be able to demonstrate. Ask 2. No counterfeit. As the distribution reaches deeper into the hinterland and away from the warehouses, the possibility of counterfeiting and contamination becomes real. This can be related to products being sold that have passed the expiry dates, or counterfeiting taking place where the packaging is replicated in some other manner and the product inside is a local produce, thereby the company's brands being totally destroyed when it comes to trust or the quality of the product inside it. This is a real problem, and the packaging team carries out various interventions like hologramming, tamper proofing to ensure that genuine products reach the customer. However, this is the real challenge, and the distribution partners have to stay vigilant and act quickly whenever the counterfeiting happens. As the distributor salesperson is there in the market and goes to the most remote of the outlets there, they know whether the product is a counterfeit or it is a genuine product. And if it is a counterfeit, they just pick up one of them and ensure that it reaches back to the company. The company executives can then take the necessary steps to stop the counterfeiting from happening and prevent their brand from the possible exposure or the negative publicity that it can get. This is again a very crucial role that the challenge plays to maintain the quality and the consistency all the way down the line. Distribution of service. In the case of a service like a health insurance or an investment instrument like a mutual fund, it needs experienced professionals to guide the selection process. The uniqueness of this service is that anyone can buy it and as many people can buy it. So it's not restricted by availability of the product. It is restricted by the ability of the person to invest into that. So if a person has money, they can invest. Anyone who has money, they can invest and buy an insurance or a medical or an investment instrument. However, at this point, it's important for the distribution people down the line to understand if they are going with the right guys, if they are ensuring that the quality parameters are in place, if they are ensuring that the right risk is being assumed. Though the offering is available for purchase through the portal, the competent sales team members guide the sales process and silently assess whether the purchase is the right purchase to go through. If you remember, in insurance, there is always a word which says that insurance is a subject matter of solicitation. So one just can't go and buy a product. The risk before being assumed has to be assessed. So that is why many of these financial instruments carry such clauses and sub-clauses in it. All effort has to be made to ensure that the channel partners and the sales teams do not make incorrect promises to the customer. They might go and sell a mutual fund saying some 30% returns, but it might not happen like that. So the customer might just not read the brochure thoroughly. But it's important, therefore, the channel partners and the sales teams should be ethical in such services. Distribution, a competitive edge. Organizations that have cultivated deep distribution networks have a distinct advantage as they can reach their customers easily. Once the channel is established, more and more products can be pushed into it. Distribution then becomes a competitive advantage and it's a valued asset to the organization. Several companies have decades-old distribution partners who have grown with the company. Through the distribution network, the entrepreneurial energy of the workforce outside the company can be tapped and channelized and aligned to the company's objectives. For instance, I know of a distributor who is now with a particular company for over 3 generations. As this company grew and started offering more and more products, this distributor kept on catering to that with different companies, smaller company names. So as he grew older and his children started taking care of it, he gave these categories to individual to children and broke it up that way. So therefore, the distributor also kept growing in size as the company grew, and he had a good succession planning managed at his level. So distributors stay with the company for years and years and for generations, and that is how it works. works. So evolve your sales a bit every week with me. What is your distribution plan? Is your channel a competitive strategy or a necessary evil? What is the weakest link in the channel? How do you strengthen it? In case of queries, message me at saugata@metl.in. Next week, we go to the session 8, which is selling over the web.